If Proposition 8 said, now we are going to make marriages between interracial couples illegal, we would have riots in the streets. People would go, that's unconscionable. And yet because it's gay people, it's somehow okay.
The Euro-American media have had a field day over the past month, wearing out the fact that 70% of Nubian Americans, known as blacks in that aforementioned media, voted yes to the California ballot initiative to amend the state's constitution, defining marriage as a union solely between a man and a woman. The headlines, especially in California, have been a combination of poorly worded attacks and accidental comedy. The cable talking heads have had their say.
It was the black vote that voted down gay marriage. Why weren't they in front of the black?
It wasn't all the black vote. It was conservatives.
70%.
No, let's get the stats.
As did the blogosphere and YouTubers.
If there was ever a group of voters that should not have needed to hear why voting to discriminate against a small group is wrong, it is black voters. Period. End of story.
Florida and my current state of residence, Arizona, also amended their respective states' constitutions, banning homosexual marriage. Proposition 102 in Arizona passed with 56% of the vote, a virtual landslide in politics nowadays. Instead of relying solely on exit polls and media-assumed black symmetry, I asked Arizona voters why they voted the way they did. The dialogue was sympathetic.
I voted for them to be allowed to be married because it's their life.
Opinionated.
It's a normal process for myself. I believe in one man, one woman.
And brutally honest.
I just know I'm definitely against gay marriages. I mean, marriage is the institution between one man, one woman.
You'll see it all and much more coming up. Been more than a month since Election Day 2008, yet the innuendo, especially when it comes to the so-called black voters by the European American media, continues to be entertaining. First, during the Democratic primaries, it was blacks only voting for President-elect Barack Obama because he's black. That has now been replaced by the gay marriage issue and why blacks voted the way they did. Now, I'm going to make an announcement here that may shock millions of people around the world. Nubian Americans are all individuals. We all can't play basketball. We all don't like hip-hop. We all aren't great dancers, as you just witnessed a few seconds ago. And we all most certainly don't vote the same way. Now, generally, at least in my experience, if you want to learn about something, you either ask someone who has knowledge of the subject or do research for yourself as opposed to the Euro-American media method. I needed to find a spot in the Phoenix area, besides a church, where enough Nubian voters would voice their opinions and views on the subject of same-sex marriage. What better place to do so than at an institution of higher learning? I took the trek to South Mountain Community College and asked several individuals about their views on Proposition 102 in Arizona and gay marriage in general. Take a look.
For a majority of black families, especially older ones, it's always been a traditional way, man and a woman. My thing has always been who you sleep with is none of my business. You're still a child of God, you're still a human being. So I don't need to know that you're gay, I don't need to know who you're sleeping with. It's none of my business. That should not supersede you being a human being.
I think it's acceptable.
Think it's acceptable?
Yeah, whatever makes you happy. Only God can judge you, so I don't see what's wrong with it.
I don't think that they should have the same rights as a male and a female. I don't agree with that at all. Not to bring in religion, but that's something that I grew up with as far as it being a male and a female. Females give life. Two males cannot give life. So I'm very comfortable with my choice as far as my vote.
Janet's views of the church and family were very common not only in the interviews I conducted, but throughout America as far as Nubians are concerned. But a couple of guys took it a step further. One suggested gay marriage voting patterns may be influenced by genetics in Nubian Americans, while another suggested shame.
As African American, as a black voter, we believe in God. You know, people are religious, most of them. African American, their roots are in Africa, either west, south, or east. So I do believe that that's a cultural issue, and also, as I told you before, it is related religion, things. Even you say that they're African American, they born here, generation to generation, they have still their, culture, and I do believe that that's the reason.
I used to be a cab driver out here, and just in my small little world, my circle, I noticed that there's a lot of down low, undercover people, so it might be some shame involved. The hip-hop genre and this and that, we have the bravado that we have to portray, the machismo, but what the down low is when there's a lot of gay people, but they're inwardly gay, not outwardly. And what they're doing is they're participating, in gay activities, but discreetly, and that's basically what it is. And they even have meetups, organized, underground, of course. And it's some shame involved, it's some hiding, and who wants to be outwardly gay if they're in that, that arena?
First, I was told that black people don't vote, but and I know black people don't make up the majority of the population in the United States or California, but they still have the same civil rights as everyone else. So I don't see any discrimination there. I mean, if they want to, they have the right to do everything everyone else have a right to do. I don't see any difference.
And aside from all the media hoopla about black homophobia and hatred towards homosexuals, most had nothing but kind, sympathetic words for the homosexual community, in spite of the way they voted.
I can't speak for all black people. I can speak for myself and know that I didn't want for it to pass because I have a lot of gays in my family, and also I think that that's their choice, that's their business. In the Bible it does say, it's a sin to be gay, but then it's also, God asks, for forgiveness, and that's why Jesus died on the cross for us to forgive all sins. So I kind of think it's a contradiction, because how can you forgive somebody you can't forgive them for the sin that they committed, but Jesus died for the sins. You promote one thing and then you're doing another. I think a lot in the black church has a lot of hypocrisy in it. So, I really don't, that's one reason why I really don't go to church right now, is because I think, most of the pastors are scams and trying to get my money. And they're driving around in a Rolls Royce, and I'm driving around in my little Nissan or something and giving them all my money. But I think that you should interpret the Bible the way you interpret it and not how a man interprets it.
If I was hiring a prospective employee to work for me, and he or she tells me they're gay, my first comment to them would be, why are you telling me this? What that has to do with your job? What that has to do with being a human being? And please don't compare being a homosexual to being a minority. There's two different things.
I will say to each his own. If someone chooses to be with same sex, that's something that's an issue between the two of them.
Then, of course, we have individuals who are black and gay with views on the issue. The young man I spoke to believes people should mind their own business, while the young woman says she is married to a woman and believes that is her right.
I feel like the black community is so quick to say, oh, well, this, that, and the other about a gay person, but I'm like, well, then let's talk about premarital sex. Let's talk about smoking weed. Let's talk about getting drunk. You know what I mean? The Bible says drink but not get drunk. I feel like we as a people choose, not even just the black community, just all communities, we pick and choose which which sins and what we want to live by. If we're going to live by it, let's live it by the book. Let's not pick and choose. Let's live it by the book. And honestly,